Welcome to the Bengals Weekly Show on the Grilling Truth Sports Network. As always, the Grilling Truth is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. All right, I am your host, Mike Goodpaster. Want to welcome in my co-host. First up, Ty Robbins. How you doing, Ty?
What's up, Bengal Nation? I'm doing well. Last week was a tough loss, man. It was a tough loss, and I thought we were headed on the right track. So we got 4 coming up before the bye, and we're gonna have to turn this train around. So we lost. It's hard to lose 3 walk-offs, and so we got a lot to work on, and we're gonna start going to the Big Easy, and we'll see how that works out.
All right, and Ty, it's really hard to turn a train around because those freaking tracks just go straight ahead. And of course, as always, we have our other co-host, number 58, helped lead the Bengals to the Super Bowl in 1988, Joe Kelly. How you doing, Joe?
It's been better days, man. I've been very, very optimistic this year about, and it's not just one thing. The variety of the things, play calling. You have some horrible line play, and I think right now I can kind of look through the fog, or I'm looking through the fog. Despite playing bad in this area, then this area, okay, they play pretty. The second half, you try and look at the try and see, okay, what are we doing, in order and to stop from losing close games like this. We've been competitive. We are these games down to the wire. But at the end of the day, it's about win. Rather win ugly than lose pretty. So we in a fashion where we should have won. But at the end of the day, learn how to win those games. And the teams that are going to be late January and late February, those are the teams that are going to figure out away games, especially games that you should win. And those 3 losses that record are 3 definite wins that we should have won.
All right, so we're going to look at this last game, Sunday night's game against the Baltimore Ravens. A lot of head coaching decisions leave people shaking their heads. It seems like everybody is turning on Zach Taylor, and for good reason, I think. I mean, Ty, what's your take on this so far? Is this all on Zach Taylor?
I think it's on, some of those play calls and choices. I think it starts at the top. But, your line has to execute, and Joe has to he has to put him in a position to win. So he did what any good quarterback, he fell on the sword and said, they lost the game because of interception. But you could look at a lot of different things here, from time, how they ran the clock and gave, time on the clock to the Ravens, where they didn't take the points, and I'm all for if they want to go for it, but some of those, play calls, the Philly special, really. So I think a lot of people's at fault, but it starts at the top, and they got to get a faster start this week. Both games they won, they were ahead. They started off ahead, and I think that's going to be a key to this week's winning the game.
All right, so Joe, when I look at this, you get the Philly special. That's a play Baltimore used 2 weeks ago to basically do the same thing the Bengals were trying to do. So when the Bengals ran the play, they'd seen the play before. The other thing that concerns me is Coach Callahan talking about how it's been confusing them because, and this is what he said in the press conference, I think it was yesterday, that teams aren't doing to them what they're seeing those teams do on film. And I think it's pretty obvious that you're going to see a lot of cover 2 this year. That's what people started doing to the Chiefs last year to slow them down. So that is worrisome to me. The other thing is this. If you take away play calling from Zach Taylor, there's nobody on this staff that's really qualified to be an offensive coordinator, including Zach Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, we can go back and we can scrutinize some of the play calling. Obviously, some plays that should have been called. Still comes down to execution. I was down watching this game on, the 1.5 yard line. I myself said, "Fuck this." Go. I said that myself. Sometimes there's times and there's times during the season where you got to say, "Hey, you know what? We're telling it. We're going to end up, the Super Bowl quality have to do this." And at the end of the day, we're not there. We're not there. Plays like the Philly special. It's run off of play action. It's run off of misdirection plays and things of that nature. We haven't done nothing like that. Then when they were running the double reverse, and they went over there, the backside guy just hadn't been running any counter, San Francisco type offense, anything. So it didn't fool anybody. Plus, like you said, Mike, somebody had just run it. They were ready for it. So at the end of the day, there's critical time where the other team has been ready, prepared for us. And then I said, okay, well, look at Lamar. 2 wide open touchdowns. And those were, if he just throws the vicinity of his guys, they can walk in. So things. There's just areas that we have to play better. I do in the offensive line, but then it comes right back to the lapses. Joe was averaging 5 yards a carry. So here when you have that, there's here when we got on down in the red zone and we didn't run the ball at all. You're making calls trying to outsmart rather than here this is what's been working in this game. Now this is what has not been working in this game. They're doing to us. So let's adjust. So it's making adjustments all throughout the game. You can practice all you want. You got a game plan. Baltimore has a base offense that they run, and here we can practice all week. But Baltimore is running things during the game, and it's not working. They're going to make adjustments. You have to do that. It looks great. It looks great in practice. It looks great on film, but it's not working. So we got to make an adjustment. Like you said, teams are going to start playing cover 2. We're taking out of consideration that T. Higgins was a part of our offense. No excuse, but that's what it was. This is a time in the season, man, where they have to buckle down and they have to say, we have T. Higgins, we have to win those type of games, or we're going to dig ourselves. We won't be able to get out of. We're not as bad at this point last year. So here I'm still. I think I can say that because I think we have better talent this year. With the 3 losses, they were walking. We could have won all 3. We could have been 5-0. But we have the majority of the teams in this league right now.
Yeah, because the majority of the teams right now are 2-3 or 3-2. And from what I saw, the Baltimore Ravens don't look like a good football team right now either. Neither one of these teams do. The Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns. They'll figure a way to screw it up. Pittsburgh's gone completely in the toilet. So the good thing is we may be looking at a division where you only have to win 9 games to win the division. And if you look at the Bengals' next 6 games, they're all winnable. They have to go at least 5-1 in those games. And we've got a game coming up against the Saints team that is basically destroyed also by injuries. Taysom Hill had 4 touchdowns last week. It looks like Andy Dalton will be playing quarterback. The Bengals-Saints game, to me, I won't say that the season depends on it because the Baltimore Ravens don't look anything great right now. But, this is a game that they have to win, Ty.
I agree. They have to. You want to be 3-3 versus 2-4 looking down the road. This is a big game. And they may downplay that, but this is a big game. And I'm sure it's a big game in the locker room. Even Burrow said this week he's going to go down. And they're going to play balls out for a win. You know what I mean? So
the question is, why would you wait till week 6 to play balls out for a win?
Now they got.
And if your balls are out, you're probably not going to win because you're going to get hurt.
Well, this is a big game. So, they're going back, him and Chase, and even Ella. Collins is going back to the Super Bowl. You got our Superdome. And then you got Henderson's going back, and Eli Apple, the favorite of everybody, Saints organization. So all these guys are going to go back. They want to win. They want to play. I just hope that the play calling gets a faster start because they are going to play cover too. They, the rest of the league's figured out how we're going to stop these guys, and so they're going to. I don't understand why Tyler Boyd, they don't use him more. Why can't he be just hitting all these over the passes?
I'm sorry. Cover to 2, you attack over the middle. And the fact that Tyler Boyd has done next to nothing this year is mind-blowing. And I mean, when you look, I saw a diagram on Twitter the other day for all the routes Chase ran in the game. All the routes were outside the hashes, Joe. That's not how you beat cover 2.
It's in the middle. It's up the seam. Those things I didn't like. I like a tight end getting in the mix. I like us targeting him. You look at, we can get this dude right here into the that has to open up everything else. You have to try those crossing routes, those seam routes. That's what he's been doing is but it's also here we have to understand. I would say a lack of the coaches' belief. So we've been, they've been doing better, but we're sitting up here and you're hitch route. You threw 10 hitch routes, and that's enough. Because you don't need your offensive line. All they can do is stab. Now you can run the hitch. When we're running those routes have to develop. You coming in, you putting that pressure on the 3 up the seam, across it. Those guys to get upfield. So if that's a 1, 2, 3 step, now I have to watch 1, 2, 3, and you don't have the time. So I'm saying the coaches don't have. We can be don't have the courage or the faith or the belief that they offer that much time because I'm looking at the play call. I'm looking at the play call and they're not there yet right now with trusting our offensive line to call those. You can't call. We can say you call those plays, but you can't call those plays if he's getting on a 3-step drop. And you're our running game. I swear to God, I called every running play. I was 100%. Man, so yes, easy to come and defend Joe Mixon. So if I can bring 8 in the box, I can bring 9 in the box. Because when I see your set, so we have to get more creative. We have to. The play calling has to get better, but at some point in time, here you can call plays, courage. The offensive line, they know what you're calling. They know that BS is you're calling protect Joe. They know that, so it's a psyche. So here, coach, let's run wide receivers. I guarantee you, every wide receiver room in football. I don't care if it's high field. Those are the biggest egotistical guys, and they're in there saying, hey, man, give me the, I'm open. Every wide receiver, never talk to a wide receiver that wasn't open. To be some dissension in there because we're week 6 now. And the year that he's expecting, T's been hurt. Tyler definitely not getting the ball. We're going to have to start winning or or you can see some disintegration real quick. Football team who has high expectations.
Yeah, and with the Saints team that's beat up, Chris Olave is in concussion protocol. Looks like he may not play. This is going to be basically Taysom Hill and Andy Dalton, and we all know what backup quarterbacks do to the Bengals. So, I mean, it could be not pretty, but I would have a concern if all of a sudden they go down and just play, as Ty so eloquently put it, balls out in a game against the Saints when they just played a much bigger game against the Ravens and didn't do that. So I think this, at some point, the coaches have to just call the plays that will beat that coverage. And if the offensive line can't figure it out, they can't figure it out, because this is not going to win you a Super Bowl. It's not going to get you to the Super Bowl. And it's probably 50-50 whether you can even make the playoffs like this, Ty.
I agree. So I think they know what's at stake. We'll see how the running game last week. They finally got their running game going. Joe Mixon.
Well, see, and let me bring this up real quick. If they could get the running game going, then you can actually throw play action passes. But right now, you can't go play action. It's just like I had a buddy of mine who texted me they need to throw play action. I can't do that if you run. And then like 5 minutes later, they throw a play action pass and Dalton gets, brutalized and the pass is incomplete because nobody respects you running the ball, because you don't do it, number one, is like Joe said, and number two, you tip it off every time you're going to do it.
Yeah, well, like I said, they got the running game going, but how much confidence do they have in their line when you're on the 2-yard line and you don't use any of the running backs?
Yeah, you're running trick plays. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, a double reverse on the goal line usually doesn't work because even if you fake the guy out, he's still within 5 yards of the freaking line of scrimmage. So it's not going to work. Third grade Pee Wee teams that are well coached don't do that.
Well, the first series of the game, they had 3 people run the ball, and none of them were running backs. You know what I mean? You have Tyler Boyd running, and then I'm looking like, what? Then Chase runs, and then Joe Mixon gets in there, and they start having success, but they never stay with it. They never stay.
The one thing that worries me, especially if you want to run play action, is they still didn't run the ball highly successfully on the interior of the line. It was more off tackle where they were successful, which makes no sense because the interior of the line is where everybody says we're the strongest.
Well, I would have, if it was me, I would have taken at least 1 or 2 shots with the running back right up the middle, and let's see who wants to score here, instead of all these trick plays and then going back to a shuttle pass, and it's craziness. So
yeah, the shuttle pass never works for this team.
Yeah, it'll never work because you're not doing anything else. It works for Kansas City because Kansas directions. Kansas City they're using their tight ends. They're going across the middle. So that works. It works when you're doing an offense in order to do something. So if it's not, you're not running a play like that. Got 8 in the box. We want you to run some shit like that. So here, we have to be more creative, but we have to be more confident in our offensive line. Confident in that Joe Mixon. Like you said, why would they? That's something that, okay, you call that once a game. But you don't just play. You know what I mean? Let's get into the game. Let's start hitting them. Now that we're hitting them, we're using tight end. Tyler Boyd's over the middle. Boom, we throw a 9 off the chase, let him run, let the cornerback ultimately, here. Now those guys, they got to start playing honest. Same thing that every team has been doing to you this season because they've been dominating you guys. They're not changing. You're not adjusting. So those kind of things don't work. Saying here, we do have one of the best running backs in the league.
And the sad thing, Joe, is their defense has not given up a touchdown in the second half of any game this year. And if we'd have told any of us that, we'd have all thought they were 5-0.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our defense, we've given up a play to Eli Apple had his head in his ass, a couple plays. But if you look at our defense, they're keeping us in the game. We did make a big play. Those plays are going to come. Trey's going to come. Sam Howell, those plays are going to come. Well, let's hold on and let's get defense. Just keep holding on. Just keep us in the game. You keep us in the game. While this offense, if I'm saying here, offensive line, we have to in game by the time we're in game 8, game 9, that now we've played together. We're used to the calls. Here we're used to playing off of each other. We're not stunts. So you have that. And then allowed. I still think that we're in the mix. You look at our. We have to go down, and you can say what you want. We have to win this game. We have to win this game. A New Orleans team that is decimated by injuries. He comes into play. I don't care who you are. You lose down because this is not a really good. At this point, and partly that's partly due to a lot of injuries. But they still have NFL. We can't go down there and lose. So you look at that, man. You can start your pointing coming in, but I hope that we're all Paycor Stadium, and we're working on we're doing something, going back to the basics and seeing what's working. Let's get these Tyler Boyd in the mix, because all that opens up Chase. Chase had the year he had last year because Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, shit. I'm like I said, I'm just sitting on cover 2. You're not getting that 9 route on me. Here we're gonna run, but we can play 2, but we can play quarters too, and have here we're gonna play quarters to so you can run that 1 yard hitch and Chase, you get 3-4 yards. We'll give him that. We're just not gonna give him the 30-40 yard pass plays. We have to get better, man.
Yeah, and when you look at this, I think it's huge because if they lose the game, I don't think the season's over, but I also think about as good as you're going to do is 9-8. If you win this game, they've got the Falcons at home. They go to Cleveland. They play the Panthers at home, the Steelers. They go to Tennessee. That's 5 straight winnable games. If they can go 5-1 during that time or 6-0, everything's all right, because the end of the season, then you got the Chiefs. You got the Browns here, but that is probably with Deshaun Watson. You go to Tampa Bay, which to me is a winnable game because I think Tampa Bay has a lot of issues also. You got New England, which is going to be a tough game because let's face it, the Bengals are a lot better than the Patriots, but the Patriots have Bill Belichick, and when your weakness is coaching, that's probably not the team to play against. Then you host Buffalo, and then you host the Ravens at the end of the season. So the way this is setting up, I think everything is fine as long as they win this game. And by win this game, I don't mean win 14-11 on a last-second field goal. They need to go out and they need to establish themselves the way they did against the Jets tie, and then they need to carry on that momentum.
Well, I think the defense will do their job as they do week in, week out. I just think they got to get a faster start. They got to learn how. I agree with Mr. Kelly here. What Joe said. I don't think they make adjustments fast enough, right? In time they make the adjustments, it's a second half. And they're rolling, but they got to do a faster job. They got to get Mixon involved faster, and they got to get Tyler Boyd and Hayden Hurst involved and break this cover 2. If that's
what I think would help here. Tell me if I'm crazy, Joe, but if this team was to go no huddle, I think it would change everything. Because right now, when a team goes cover 2 and they're trying to slow you down, they're trying to control the tempo. So the few times we've seen the Bengals use it a little bit, it's been successful.
Yeah. And it on their heels. You stay in attacking approach adjustments. They know here now we're coming. There's calls. They now they're get to a situation where here you can have go for we're rushing, but in the sense of the offense we're used to. Now we the game plan, because now they see we're not going to bring 8-9. okay, here we got this up. We can, we calling the tempo. The tempo changes the coach's approaches, calls, because certain run when you're in a faster tempo. So we have to be able to utilize that skill, especially with him making some catches. And I think, he's able to utilize his talent, run, catch the ball. We can add that to what we have. We have an incredible offense. We got to stay at it. We got to stay at it. Zach has to call that offense think that he out of those calls. I'm looking at those calls. Those are I'm running these plays because I don't believe. First of all, I don't believe we have the time to seam. I don't believe we have the time to run those for Tyler Boyd. Staying so basic run play, do these things. Let's go. We're ready. It's such your big boy pants on.
All right, so Joe, let me ask you this. You're starting to cut up really bad here in the last 2 minutes, so we was going to wrap it up anyways. We're going to get your wife on that to fix that for you. But who wins, Bengals Saints, to give us a score?
I'm going to say we're going to go down there and win. Our defense is still going to say. I'm saying scoring any more than 17 points. I'm going to say, Bengals 14.
All right, Ty.
I agree. I think the Bengals are going to go out and they're going to win this game. They're going to go out and they're going to, if there is any one-on-ones or Burrow sees it, I think this might be the game that Chase has a breakout game because he really hasn't truly had one yet. So I say it's going to be 24-21 Bengals.
All right, I am going to go 27-16 Bengals. I think they'll win the game. I'm not extremely confident about it, but I do like the point spread too. So if you like the Bengals and want to give the 1 or 2 points against the Saints, betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Head over to their website now to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. Guys, we will be back next week, hopefully with a win, headed to play Atlanta here at, I was going to say Paul Brown Stadium, and I still am, Paul Brown Stadium, a little over a week and a half from now against the Falcons. But for now, guys, we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at grueling_truth. Make sure you check out our NFL prediction show every Wednesday night. But for now, for Ty Robbins, Joe Kelly, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.